Welcome to Human Powered, the podcast about creating a high-performing agency or consultancy business. I'm Trenton Moss, leadership coach, exited agency founder, and author of the book Human Powered. And on my podcast, my guests spill their secrets about how they've created high-performing teams and how this has translated into running a high-performing business. So today I've got Zsuzsanna Recsey, CEO of Standing on Giants. Zsuzsanna, thank you so much for joining us. Hello there.
Hi, Trenton. Thanks for inviting.
So obviously you run the business Standing on Giants. You're a full-service community engagement agency. So what does that mean? Well, essentially, you build and manage online communities. And you do this for lots of household name brands like Airbnb and I think O2, Tesco Bank. So you actually spent the first 20 years of your career working in financial services in large, big international banks. And then you retrained as an executive coach and you started coaching one of the Standing on Giants founders. And 4 years ago, you became the CEO of Standing on Giants. So what an incredible story. And yeah, what a success. You've grown the business from 25 to 60 people over that time. So I guess the first thing what's your secret to having such a high performing business?
Thank you, Trenton. Lovely introduction. I wish there was a secret. It's Trenton, for us, it's all about people, culture, and impact. As you know, we are a B Corp certified business, and that means that we are balancing the focus on the 3 Ps, the people, planet, and profit. So, and we've achieved this. It's a 3-year process of recertification. We achieved this during the period of growth. So really proud that we are actually managed to really embed the people, the culture, and the impact into the business. So, and again, actually another point of proud that we actually achieved, again, being in the Escape 100. Escape 100 includes those businesses to whom it's worth escaping to and working for. So very proud of our employee engagement, which is really a big part of our success. And, you're talking about growth, Trenton, and are we talking about KPIs? And what is growth for us? And, I think it's an absolute foundational thing for every business to have an overarching business plan. And we do have one. The key point is that we are aligning all our daily activities to this overarching strategic business objectives. But that is only about the what. I think the secret, coming back to your question, is about the how. So actually how we are achieving all these daily alignments to the strategic goals. And this is about the culture of and the values, our foundational values of being accountable, responsible, curious, and sportive, which we've been carrying through actually since inception of the business.
So it sounds like those values are really at the core of this. How do you make sure that the team is living up to those values?
Oh, well, definitely it is since inception. And I think, again, going back to your words of secret, it is consistency. That 2 main areas I would call out. One is that we as the leadership team need to role model it in our daily activities. Everything what we do has to be representing these values. At the same time, I also believe in a structured approach. So we have to build it into our everyday operational processes as well. And what I mean here, just to call out a few processes. So one of them is the biannual performance reviews, which is really built not only around the what, checking how the task been delivered, but around the how. So this is really, we are checking how the individuals have actually contributed to each and every value. So the second part, what I would like to call out, and actually this is my favorite, this is our bi-weekly all hands meetings. where we do it remotely. Yeah, we are now globally spread. We've got people from Colombia to Singapore. So we're doing all these meetings online. And obviously, we cover the business updates and reviews, but we dedicate time to shout outs when we actually celebrate each other and say thank you to each other. And the point is that we are specifically highlighting actions that are exemplifying our core values. And we love feedback. Yeah, we actually built it into our standard processes of asking clients for feedback. So we've got that, but unprompted feedback is the best. And these shout outs actually quite often includes that as well. Actually, we had the all hands call yesterday, and it was beautiful. One of the seniors took out a very recent feedback from one of the actually most senior clients of us, totally unprompted, praising one of our employees, really aligned to the values. He was talking about how responsible that person was, what the quality they delivered, and how they've actually moved the needle, and how much progress we've done in a year time. Just fantastic. And so we talk about it as part of this all hands call, sometimes spending half of the team meeting on this topic. And the third one I would like to call out is our recruitment process. You cannot start embedding the values early enough into the process. So I personally ensure that every candidate has the opportunity to understand the values. And I really make a point that I personally interview and provide an opportunity to meet the people towards the end of the recruitment process. I really enjoy this. And I also believe that the importance and the influence of leadership in smaller organizations might be even more important than in bigger ones. So therefore, handling this process as a two-way interview where I give the opportunity to the candidates to come and see me and assess the cultural fit mutually. And maybe the last point is that this actually really resonates not only with employers, but with customers and other all stakeholders, even with partners. I think it's important to notice that that all these partners are increasingly making decisions based on values and impact.
That's some wonderful insight you've got there, Zsuzsanna. I mean, you've got these 4 values, as you said, that you've had since the start. And from the moment that you hire someone through to your bi-weekly all hands meetings, through to the biannual performance reviews, through to just general conversations that are happening in the business, it comes back to those values. What happens when you see someone behaving in a way where they're not displaying these values?
Again, there are 2 ways of handling these type of things. Definitely, there are processes. So as I mentioned, our performance process, which actually starts with the objective settings. Yeah, so you set to achieve the what objectives and also the how objectives. It is really important that we set the expectations. I always tell my team that I'm really happy to tell anyone off, but that person should not be surprised. The point is that the expectations should be very clear. And after that, the continuous conversations are much easier if you've got something to refer back. And this is my second, is about continuous conversations and continuous feedback. We are really encouraging people to speak up. This is one of those core principles. We are encouraging the team that when they see, and it's just the earliest sign, maybe they are nothing, but just bring it up. If you see something which goes against our values, bring it up to any senior leaders in the organization. Will listen to you. And we've got this second rule that if you are a leader, then it is your obligation to do something about it. That is very important, that we are avoiding chit chats. We know that, oh, I'm telling you this, but I don't want you to do anything about it. That does not exist. Yeah, if I know it, I cannot not do something about it. This is a super important role. And actually, since we introduced this formally, we actually trained the leadership team for this and the wider team as well. it is much easier to catch things at the very, very early sign when most probably all these behaviors which seemingly against the values are driven by good intention, just maybe some considerations were missing. So we can address it early into the process, and then the outcome is quite often an even more engaged team member actually living up to the core values.
So, occasionally you will have some people behaving in a way that isn't in line with the values, where the how isn't what you want. And it sounds like you approach all of these conversations assuming that everyone has the best of intentions.
I can't help it, Trenton, and believe in humans. I do believe that actually we all want to do our best. In general, this is the foundation. This is how we are building mutually respectful relationships with all our stakeholders, employees, as well as we apply the same principles to our clients and our stakeholders as well. Building trust is the first step. We assume the good intentions, and then we're using our empathy and relationship building skills to actually build this trust. And we know that losing trust is much quicker than building it. So we're actually, as you said in the introduction, we are engagement experts. We are building communities. So we are applying actually the core principles what we are using in the communities to how we build relationships internally with each other as employees, as well as with our clients and partners.
So the values that you have and the behaviors you expect the team to exhibit, you also apply those to client situations. Because
Absolutely.
with clients, you have lots of difficult conversations, and it can feel like clients are being unreasonable. And if you go into that conversation assuming the client has the best of intentions, then there's a good chance you're going to get to a good outcome, a win-win outcome.
Very true. Very true. We can't highlight enough the importance of emotional intelligence and resilience, I think. And this is a whole separate topic which we've been embedding into our everyday operations and especially into our leadership development programs. This is just key to everything what we do. Emotional intelligence and resilience is just the foundation to actually pivot with the clients to follow those sometimes enhancements, sometimes radical changes, and go along on the journey with the clients. Building long-lasting, trust-based, mutually respectful relationships with our clients and partners as well is core to everything what we do.
So, as well as your core values, there's that kind of underpinning of resilience and emotional intelligence. You mentioned you're embedding resilience into everything you do. Tell me a bit more about how you do that.
Well, I think it's part of a wider leadership development program. We do, if we talk a little bit about leadership development, it's been a very transformative journey the last 3 years, starting with a smaller business where we had to actually just create a leadership team to make them aware that they are leaders. So the very, very first step is that we sit around one desk at that time, still everybody in London. So we could actually sit around there and talk about, oh, wow, we are the leaders. And then continue on the journey that what are the expected behaviors and how we are role modeling that those behaviors and core values to the organization. Now, that was the start of the journey. Since then, we are a much larger organization. So actually, we have two levels of leadership. We since created the management team, the head of the functions who are reporting directly to me. At the same time, we also kept the leadership team. So everybody who is on that level of the company, regardless whether they manage other people or not, when they reach one level, they become part of this leadership team. And with the leadership developments, I believe that you again have to follow two parallel activities. So one is that structured programs are very important. We need to bring up the leadership capabilities to the same level, and we can create vocabulary we can all use. And in these leadership training, wider leadership training programs, we can address certain common challenges in this group. And the second route is the individual programs. The management level, we identify that you need different type of interventions at different times. And we work with a wide range of external coaches. But coaching, again, underpins quite a lot of the leadership development activities as well. And me being a qualified coach, truly believe that leaders should have coaching at some point in their careers. So and also I believe that chemistry between the coach and the coachee is very important to make that relationship effective. So therefore, we've got actually a wide range of coaches who we assign based on the personality typing or the needs of the individual at the point. Now, at the same time, the regular cadence of these meetings are very important. So with the management team, we meet monthly to cover business. It's a very comprehensive business review. We dedicate time every time we start reflecting on leadership behaviors. So this goes parallel to a leadership development program, which is facilitated by an external coach, which we recently picked up again and defined a few areas we would like to focus with the team. So it's really important. I would like to highlight again that when we are doing these sessions, this is about the team, how the team operate more effectively together. So when we are doing the external facilitation, this is also team coaching, how we can actually collaborate, communicate, and therefore be more effective as a team. And that is supported by the individual coaching sessions, which are focusing on individual leadership development. So the two go very well together.
So, Zsuzsanna, you've clearly got a culture of coaching embedded across the leadership team in terms of your activities. And a lot of business leaders talk about having a coaching culture, and I believe do try and implement that. Where you're different to the majority of business leaders is you've got a diploma in coaching, you've done the qualifications, and you've previously worked, as your job as a business coach. So tell me, how does that set you apart from other business leaders?
So needless to say that I could not resist to actually use one of these training sessions to bring in an external facilitator again and teach the team to the coaching principles. So I think that's just foundational, that we all know the GRW model and we understand a little bit of the basic tools of it. And typically focuses on active listening, which we all know. And by the way, it's easier said than done. Even that requires lots of practice and attention. But this was the foundation. Yeah, again, introducing a training like that allows us to have a common vocabulary around that and the basic foundational understanding of what I mean when I say that we are following a coaching approach. So the follow-up of the specific coaching training was introducing personality typing and communication styles. And this is first we did with the leadership team, and then actually we are in the process of rolling it out to the wider organization. So this is such a foundational awareness raising that we can do at any level in the organization. That's just the light bulb moments for some people, that even just understanding themselves that, this is why I actually enjoy this versus the other one. It really helps effective communication, delegation, sharing with each other. And what allows us, we tried different models. And we decided using one of those, which introduces colors, and it generates discussions in the business. That, for example, we are in the brainstorming session. Then opening a brainstorming session we did recently, we just step back for a second and we say, "Okay, guys, can everybody put the yellow hats on starting the meeting?" let's just, the yellows are those, the big thinkers, the inspirational people, the ones who've got 100 ideas a day. So can we just put this hat on? Let's start a brainstorming meeting with that. And when you get to that stage that, okay, this is going too far, we need to make some, get our heads around priorities and thing, then we actually stopped it and let's take a breath and let's put our red hat on. Yeah, we have to make decisions how we're going forward with that. So we've got the common language, we can gamify it a little bit. And that also relies on that understanding that whilst we have preferences, we've got natural incline of behaving one way or the other, we can do any of them. As long as we are aware, even if I'm red, I can think, I can come up with ideas if I put myself under the yellow hat for the right meeting. So the easier element of coaching and the very foundational part of us. Now, when I look at coaching and going beyond the active listening, is there are a few areas which I deliberately, a bit more intentionally bring into the business. The first one is around insightful questioning. This is when we are using open-ended questions, living up truly our curiosity, understanding more about each other, and we can use it wonderfully with our clients when we are really trying to understand what they would like to achieve. So this is one area which we practice. I role model a lot and remind people to this quite often when they are using closed-ended questions, which are actually showing that they already have the answers. Be open. The second one is that I find it super important that we create space for reflection. We are rushing, there is always a next project, there is always a next task. But we build it into the processes that we run retrospective. We actually go out and we think about, okay, what have we learned from this process? What can we do better next time? And that just builds into our everyday life, how we improve, how we actually innovate and improve our processes. And for some of the introverted person, it is just a beautiful time when reflection is actually a key priority in a meeting. The third one I would call out that actually encouraging self-discovery, and this is very much linked to what we talked about the colors as giving the team a tool to start on this self-discovery. This is and we as a business supporting everybody to find their own path and journey and supporting them using their curiosity value to go and learn and explore whatever really suits their specific individual interest as well as the business objectives. The fourth one is about facilitating the development of solutions by the individual themselves. I think that is one of, again, a core concept of coaching that I am humble enough to believe that people do have answers to the questions, provided they've got the skills and the capabilities. That's fine. That's the assumption. But they are working with the people, using those open-ended questions, giving them time to reflect. They will come up with the solutions which are quite often better solution what we would have come up. This is beautiful. This is why diversity is so important, that all these different pots of thinkings and ideas, we create space for it. We ask the right question and we allow these individuals and encourage them to come up with individual solutions. So I think these are the key four principles. Other than that, that I understand coaching at this level, and I use it with the individuals, especially in the management and leader level. I think that enables me to tailor these development plans for the individual needs, maybe a bit better than some of the less qualified leaders would do. And it is, again, as we said, I embed my approach into everything I do. My leadership style is coaching style. Of course, it's combined with the authoritative. When there is a fire, we need to give instructions. But this is how I lead, and this is how I can stay very authentic to my own personality.
Wow, that's a wonderful, wonderful answer. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, there are some things in there that you can go out and do and can learn from Zsuzsanna, a qualified executive coach. And I think there's probably two things that generally differentiate you from many other agency leaders. First is that background you've got in executive coaching and how you bring that to your leadership style. And I think the second thing that differentiates you from many other agency leaders is that you're a self-confessed introvert. Tell me what it's like being an introverted CEO.
If I just can start with the definition, at least the way how I think about introvertedness and extrovertedness, it's really important because there is a big misconception that introverted people are shy. Yeah, it's not about shyness. Let's just put that out there. We can actually stand up and do public speaking and so on and so on. The difference is that how we recharge our batteries, and also the second most important element to me is how we process information. So introverts like myself, we prefer quiet reflection. We prefer smaller, meaningful interactions. That's how we actually regain our energy at the end of a long week. I love just either crawling under the duvet with my book or have a quiet glass of wine with one or two, max three people with just very quiet music in the background, while our extroverted colleagues would love to go out and get as much as impulse and stimuli as you can. That's how you actually regain your batteries. So remember this point, what I'm saying. It does not mean that we cannot do public speaking, or even it's not only about ability to do it. I can actually even enjoy it. I can enjoy a loud concert. I can do karaoke nights, believe it or not. The point is that I might feel more drained after these events than some of our friends. So it is about managing our energy a bit differently. And as you say, I am a self-confessed introvert, which means that I learned to be very confident with this one. And again, it goes back a little bit what we said earlier about authenticity. I am confident about who I am, and I am very consciously building it into my leadership model, my everyday. I know that I will need to have a bit of a break after a podcast recording like this. It is why it's natural and it energizes some other extroverted person. We just need to have a quiet coffee, 5 minutes, and then you're fine again.
And if you're listening and you yourself are an introvert, I hope you can get inspiration from Zsuzsanna talking about this. And if you're extroverted, it's a great education to understand that the introverts you work with need to get their energy in different ways. And perhaps if you're extroverted, the things you do to bring great energy to you are the things that will drain the energy out of the introverts that you work with.
I think there is one more thing we haven't covered with the introverted versus extroverted definition, how we process information. Just for your listeners to understand the differentiation, that we introverted ones, we actually typically think before we speak, whilst it quite often happens to our extroverted friends that they are formulating their thoughts, they are structuring their thinking whilst they are speaking. That's, again, very important to acknowledge in meetings. For example, what we do, how we embed it into the culture, where you can imagine that we've got quite a few introverted people who are with high emotional intelligence working behind the scenes. So by definition, we do have quite a few introverts. So, for example, when we are running brainstorming sessions, I cannot just invite these people to, we're going to run it, and then I'm going to ask 5 questions, and you will come up with 50 ideas on the spot. That just does not work. So there's a very simple process. You brief them in advance. You allow some time for them to think, reflect, and they will come back. And they even you allow them. You open the mirror board before the meeting, so they can put it up. They don't even need to come and actually speak if they don't feel comfortable to speak in front of the other people. So that's how actually it's very important to recognize the different and accommodate to them, in especially if you are a leader and you are managing a diverse team where you've got both profiles.
I think that's a great thing to share, Zsuzsanna, because what you're saying is that when it comes to meetings internally, you're making them more inclusive. Generally, when it comes to diversity, no one really talks about introverts versus extroverts. And generally, most of our meetings, the way we run them, suit extroverts a lot more and aren't particularly inclusive for introverts.
That's very true, Trenton. And also, these are the internal ones which are more under your control. You have to take it into consideration with clients as well and partners, of course. We actually, through the personality typing, these methods, we can identify them quite clearly. Once you are on that relationship journey with the clients, and then we can proactively accommodate to their style and our style. Yeah, we know some of us need to prepare more than others, and then we don't put a client who don't like speaking on the spot. We just make them comfortable, and we know when it's worth meeting in one-to-one or create a bigger audience to actually let them speak about their ideas to my wider team. Very important. Inclusivity is very big on our agenda.
Let's look a little bit ahead to the future. What's your plans for the future for yourself and for the business?
I am really excited about wrapping up our strategic plan that aligns with our core mission for the next 3 years. It is especially important because we have successfully achieved and completed the last 3 years plans. So this will, and it's really important that these 3 years plans which we have completed, they achieved all the business and the social and environmental impact as well, and we are building the next 3 year strategic plan accordingly. And so this plan will aim to continue our sustainable growth and also broaden our social and environmental impact. We aim to actually impact a wider range of stakeholders as we are growing and as we are working with big enterprises. And at the same time, it's really important that we are focusing on enhancing employee participation in decision making and in driving the future of the company. That is what I'm really looking forward to completing. And on a personal level, one of the highlights of the year is actually I will be attending some of the events of the Paris Olympics with my son, which I'm really looking forward for this year.
Oh, you've got some lovely plans ahead of you then for the year. Zsuzsanna, thank you so much for sharing so much on this conversation and being so open in terms of your journey to get to where you are today and all the things that you do in order to have made Standing on Giants, a real success story. So thank you, Zsuzsanna. It's been lovely having you here today, and it's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you, Trenton. It was my pleasure.
You've been listening to Human Powered, the podcast all about creating a high-performing agency or consultancy business. Thanks for tuning in.